Welcome to the More Time, More Money and More Wealth mini podcast for business owners, brought to you by Wow Advisors Group. This podcast is dedicated to business owners who would like to work smarter and not harder, earn significantly more income and create astonishing wealth. Now, let me introduce you to our host today, Hitesh Mohanlal.
Okay, so welcome to our first mini podcast. I know I call it a mini one. The first one actually is not a mini one, simply because I'm going to cover quite a lot today. And then future podcasts will have sections that are covered in here as well. So this one will be a long one. The future ones will probably be a bit more condensed. And all the topics that I'm going to be talking about today and in the future is all about working less, earning more, and creating what I call massive wealth for yourself. All right. So if you're a regular reader of my blogs, you'll know that I continuously talk about something called the 9 steps to working less, earning more, and creating massive wealth. Okay. So I'm often asked, what are these 9 steps? Okay. And when someone asks me that, the first thing I say to them is, look, go and read my book, okay? Because it's the most comprehensive way to explain how the 9 steps work. But I appreciate that not everybody has a spare 5 hours to read or listen. So I'm often asked for a summary, okay? Look, we are very proud of our 9 steps at Wow Advisors, and that's because it's a tried and tested formula. Okay, it works. You just need to spend some time on it, and you just need to focus on it. There is kind of a magic formula, right? So if you want financial freedom, you're going to need 3 things, right? You're going to need a financial foundation so that you can keep as much income as possible. The second thing you're going to need is you're going to have to generate as much net income and cash as possible. And the third thing you got to do is use that excess income, use that excess cash, and invest that to create wealth and financial freedom. And all you do is you keep repeating that until you've got what you want. So it sounds kind of simple, but it's not really as simple as that. Because if it was, we'd all be billionaires. And because we are not all billionaires, it usually tells me that something is not quite right. But what I can tell you is those that go through our 9-step system do become millionaires. Most will become multimillionaires. And that in itself says something about our 9 steps. But you got to do the 9 steps, and you've got to do it consistently. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So where do you start? Well, like most things, you've got to have a good foundation. So a financial foundation is a little bit like building a house. If you want to build one out of straw, the foundation doesn't need to be that strong. A piece of rough ground will do, but then you run the risk of it blowing away when a small storm comes along. Build one of wood and the foundation needs to be stronger than that of a straw house, but chances are a significant storm is still going to blow it over. A low-set house of brick requires a solid concrete foundation. Storms won't blow them over. But if you want a double-story home, you need a stronger foundation than a low-set brick home. If you don't, your house is going to fall over. It is no different when it comes to financial foundation. If you want cash and investments to be piled on top of cash and investments, then the financial foundation must be strong, or it will leak away. Then your money falls over and you lose it all. So, a strong foundation is where you start. You need a solid base from which to start and build. Remember, it's not what you earn that matters, it's what you keep. So how do you create this foundation? Well, it is actually 3 steps of the 9-step system. 1. You have to have a structure that pays the least amount of taxes and analyzes your tax affairs regularly to ensure the least amount of taxes are paid. Make sure your assets are protected, even when things do not appear to be going great. And finally, look at your operations to see where improvements can be made. These 3 steps will help you reduce the time in your business. So let's look at each of these 3 steps in detail. Step 1, structure. Your structure and investments will determine the tax rate and whether your assets are protected. And because life is never simple, there's a fine line between asset protection and taxes. It is not unusual for clients to come to us with the wrong structure, or a structure that reduces taxes but is too complex or does not meet the client's objectives. Trying to change it after the event is like trying to undertake brain surgery while you're being tickled. It's not really going to happen, and that is because the costs are usually prohibitive. So, your structure is super important. Most structures are set up with taxes in mind, but expose asset protection or limit the ability to transfer those assets to your children without massive tax consequences. For example, tax agents will tell their clients that investment property should be purchased in personal names if negatively geared. From a tax point of view, that makes perfect sense. But if you earn a lot and want to sell it, then what? Chances are you'll pay more taxes via capital gains tax. What if you're going to give it to your children while you are still alive? You can expect to make more taxes too. And on top of that, you'll end up paying stamp duty. What happens if you get sued? Well, you could lose the asset entirely. This is the way to think about it. Would you prefer saving $4,000 every year in taxes or losing your investment property completely? I would rather pay the $4,000 every year knowing my investment is safe. And guess what? I think you would too. But accountants know that telling clients they can save them $4,000 in taxes will give them a shot equivalent to crack cocaine, so they tell you to ignore the risk and take the tax saving. The same is valid for business structures. Should you set up as a company? Should you be a trust? And remember, if you're in a specific industry, such as a tech startup or even medical, the structure you have is of paramount importance. So, do not look at structures from a tax viewpoint. That is short-term thinking that may cause you long-term pain. Work out what you would like now and what you would like to happen in the future. Your structure should be based on getting that. Then work out how you pay the least amount in taxes while getting the objective you want. Step 2. Tax review. Most of our clients want the highest in terms of earnings but want to pay a pittance in taxes. To be quite honest, I am no different. But in reality, that's not really going to work. If you earn it, you need to pay it, unless you're prepared to break the tax law. But honestly, it is not what you earn that matters. It's what you keep after taxes and what you do with it that matters. But to pay more taxes than you should, yeah, even I agree, that's a bit stupid. You want to review taxes yearly to ensure you're paying the least. But remember one thing, the rich do not get richer by paying less tax. They pay more than their fair of taxes. In fact, the top 10% pay 55% of all personal taxes. Their concentration is not on I want to pay less taxes. Their concentration is I want to achieve X $1,000 in wealth or income, but I want to pay the least amount in taxes to get there. What you concentrate on, you get. If you focus on low taxes, that is what you will get. but at the cost of reducing your income or your wealth. 3. Operations. Most of our clients operate a business. The efficiency of your business determines how much money you make. So running a lean, mean fighting machine is necessary. The issue? There are none out there, but there are many that are better than others, and that is what you want to achieve. When we start the advisory process with a client, we often find that the client is working ridiculous hours to earn their keep. They often have a good business, but not all parts are working as they should. Get that right, because what you will find is that by doing so, there is more money and less stress. Has the business increased its skill set? Not really. Has it expanded rapidly in its customer base or sales? Not really. All it's done is become better at what it already does. Every business needs an external advisor looking in, even my business. As business owners, we are too engrossed and emotionally involved to ask the difficult questions that need to be answered. Just because you think you know something does not mean you are prepared to follow through, because from experience, I can tell you most will not follow through, including me. That is why I'm prepared to share with my mentors and coaches things happening in my business. Coaches and mentors tell us and force us to think about things we are unprepared to consider. Most of the business process the WOW Advisors Group has made due to outside insights that have been considered. These 3 steps will reduce the time you spend working. The following 3 steps are about maximizing net income and cash, allowing you to increase your income. The logic is that if you want to generate maximum cash, you must generate the maximum amount of net income. Most business owners concentrate on sales. Net income and sales are very different. In summary, sales are irrelevant. Net income, though, is crucial. About 5 years ago, I was acting for a client who had turnover of about $2.9 million. Today, sales are only $1.8 million. You may conclude that the business has suffered during that period. Well, 5 years ago, the business was making about $300,000 in losses. Today, that same business with reduced turnover is making about $200,000 in profits. Sales are important, but profit is more important. You maximize income and cash by following steps 4, 5, and 6. These are step 4, understanding your figures. Step 5, use those figures to generate or create more cash. And 6, ensuring your business runs its operations efficiently to create more cash. So let's take each in turn. Step 4, it's about the scoreboard. What does your scoreboard tell you? Think of a sport that does not have a scoreboard. I don't think you can find one. There is a reason. Without seeing a scoreboard, you cannot see if you have won the game. And you cannot work out what your strategy should be to win that game. Business is also a game, and it also has a scoreboard. You need to read a business scoreboard to make effective strategic decisions that allow you to win the game of business. So what is a business scorecard? In simple terms, it's a profit and loss account, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. One thing is always true. No matter what you think or say, figures always tell a story, and they never ever lie. I know what you're thinking. You're not an accountant, and you don't fancy spending 5 years learning it, and to be quite honest, I don't blame you. So, I suggest you cheat. You're better off talking to an accountant or a business advisor telling you how well your business is doing by looking at your business scorecard. Outsource it and get someone else to do it. Let someone else crunch the numbers, analyze what they mean. All you need to do is identify what the numbers are telling you. One of the traits of successful business people is that they are measuring freaks. If you do not measure, you can't manage. If you can't manage, you cannot improve. So if you want to improve the scorecards, start measuring the items that will make the biggest improvement. What should you measure? These are simply known as KPIs, or key performance indicators. Now, every business is different, so every business has different KPIs. For example, a medical practice's KPI will be based on fee income, doctor fees, rent, and administrative costs. A childcare centre is based on parent and government income, rent per child, and the ratio of staff to children. Work out what your KPIs are and then hammer them until you make more money. Step 5. Create cash flow. There are only 5 ways you can increase profit and cash flow. You either sell more, you reduce taxes, you reduce the amount of customers or debt, or what we call debtors, who owe you money, you reduce the amount of stock you hold, or you delay and push down the road what you pay to your creditors. Some of these will be more relevant to you than others. Make sure what you focus on will make a difference. Cutting small costs is a good idea, but only if done in sufficient volume. Cutting small costs is like trying to solve a $50,000 overdraft by not buying premium paper. It's not going to have that much of an effect. If you do not have enough money in your business transaction account, you're either spending beyond your means or having a problem generating cash. But I'm now going to go outside the business and go personal, because it is now time to work out how you use your cash flow based on what your figures tell us. Excess cash flow in your business will go to you, either as wages, drawings, or dividends. If you use a bucket company, you may reduce taxes, but that now means cash is locked up in your bucket company. Otherwise, excess profit and cash will hit your personal bank account, and wealth is usually generated in a personal capacity. There is a belief that businesses create wealth. They don't. Businesses generate income. Individuals use that income to build wealth. Families use individual wealth to create generational wealth. Once it gets into personal accounts, it then gets spent. And this explains why most business owners do not invest as much as they should, and that results in less overall wealth. It has been proven that if you generate more income, you will find exotic ways to spend it. The logic is that you convince yourself you deserve those extra treats. I have mentioned before how income does not equal wealth. Remember, it's not what you earn that matters, it's what you keep. Let me explain. I have a business owner client who earns about $560,000. I have another account, a tradie, who earns about $100,000. The business owner is exponentially richer and therefore wealthier. Or are they? The business owner has a financial plan. The plan is to invest if there's anything available after personal expenses, but they find they never have any cash left over. To an outsider, they look very wealthy with a fancy home, fancy cars, and fancy holidays. If I were to estimate their wealth, it would actually be less than $1 million. The tradie, by comparison, has modest expenses, and from the outside, they do not look wealthy. Estimated wealth? About $1.6 million. The business owner earns over 5 times more, but the tradie has 33% more wealth. As time passes, the gap between the two will widen as the tradie benefits from compounding interest. I'm often blunt, and many owners or business owners do not like what I say. Most high earners think high income equals wealth, But as I have just proved above, this is not true. Still need more persuasion? Think about Mike Tyson, Nicolas Cage, and Johnny Depp. What do they have in common? They all had career earnings in excess of $400 million. And then what happened? They all ran out of money. Mike Tyson and Nicolas Cage have gone bankrupt. How is that even possible? This is because as income grows, there is a tendency to incur exotic expenses. At one stage, Johnny Depp owned 4 islands and Nicolas Cage owned 15 homes or houses. So, what is the tradie doing that the business owner is not? Well, he has a financial plan that comes before spending. Together, we devise the plan so money is put aside first for investments, and whatever is left, he can do as he wishes. Income gives you potential wealth. It's what you do with that income that matters. Step 6. Opportunities. There are only 2 ways you can really increase cash flow. Reduce personal spending and increase the amount you put away. This may work, but what I have found is that there is a limit to how much humans are prepared to sacrifice a good life now, as in today, for a good life in retirement. The second way is to increase sales and profit and put a percentage of that growth into your future. I generally discuss opportunities separately because they can be very powerful. It's outside the box thinking. Every business, including my own, has internal inefficiencies. Your objective is to find and fix them with the aim of increasing and maximizing cash flow. This is the job of your team leader or general manager and should be done via a team meeting every week, during which one of the items on your agenda should be anything that happened in the last week that can be improved or went wrong. So spend time working out how to generate more income. Generally, there are a few significant business changing opportunities out there in the world. However, the small changes will compound and make a big difference. The identification of opportunities is not going to come from you. Most will actually come from external advisors or your team. So engage advisors and engage your team. They could be the difference between you generating some or a lot of income. So steps 7, 8, and 9 are about financial freedom. This is the holy grail of financial success. Because steps 7, 8, and 9 are all about the need to invest, create wealth, and invest income. This is where it starts to actually get exciting. You're about to begin the journey of making money while you sleep. I need to say something at this point. I'm not a financial planner or advisor, and that means I cannot give you specific advice. But I can discuss this in general terms. If I provide specific advice, every federal and state regulator in the country will ensure I'm disemboweled, shamed, humiliated, and suffer many bad things. Now, I know these are the words that Donald Trump would probably use, but I do need to be clear here. I would love to make the difference to you, but I don't love you that much. I will give you information that's generally available, but I will give it to you in a way that makes sense so that when you do have a conversation with your financial planner, at least you understand what they're talking about. So, step 7, investments. When it comes to investments, clients have their own passions and likes. If they love real estate, they overexpose themselves to real estate and not much else. History, though, shows that those who spread their money around or diversify in different assets classes manage the ups and downs better than those that don't. So what are the asset classes? Well, there's various. There's cash, there's bonds, there's stocks or shares, there's real estate, there's commodities, there's alternative investments such as venture capital, growth equity, buyouts, buying other businesses, and of course the current favorite, cryptocurrencies. If you want more information on the above, I really do need to refer you to my book called The Passport to Wealth and Real Financial Freedom for Business Owners. You need to spend some time on it to do the subject justice. Which should you invest in? I can't really answer that. I can only tell you what's out there. But this is what I will tell you. When deciding whether any of the investments mentioned are relevant to your portfolio, you must consider risk and reward. This should be done by discussing your personal circumstances with a qualified financial planner. They will work out the best mix of asset classes based on your risk profile, how to diversify that risk, and work to your current personal circumstances. When it comes to investments, though, keep an eye on the costs you pay someone to look after your portfolio. You see, you give money to a financial planner to play with. If you win, i.e. your wealth increases, you both get to buy a new suit or fancy heels. If, on the other hand, you lose and your wealth goes down, then you don't even get to buy a t-shirt, but they get to still buy a new suit and a new set of heels. Or worse, they'll go out and buy both. So be careful. Be very careful. However, if you are not confident about investing, you will need a good financial planner, so choose wisely. Step 8. Passive income. Let's be clear about something. There is nothing passive about passive income. To generate passive income, you must be active, especially in the beginning. Sometimes you may start out with negative passive income. In other words, it costs you money, but the asset generates positive passive income over time. The power of passive income is that income is generated even when you sleep. Passive income is any income generated by an investment in an underlying asset and does not require significant physical labor time from you. Passive income is generated by the underlying investment when you are at work, on a beach, asleep in bed, or even on a walk. Passive income can be generated in several ways. If you do a web search, you'll be given all types of ideas, most of which, to be honest, are not practical or easy things, like creating an app, try renting your car out, or sell an ebook. As I said, it's not practical and it's not easy. The 4 main ways of achieving passive income are as follows: dividend income from shares, interest on cash, positively geared property such as rental property, business ownership. Passive income does not arise if you sell the underlying asset. For example, you hold shares and decide to sell those shares. That's not passive income, even if you make a profit on it. It would be the same if you sold an investment property when you're about to retire to finance retirement. That's called cashing out of an investment, not generating passive income. Passive income is income you expect to receive because you hold the underlying asset and will continue to receive it if you continue to hold the asset. It is the basis of maintaining wealth you have created and allows that wealth to be passed down to others that you may love. The objective of passive income is threefold. It gives you the flexibility to work less. You can decide to take a longer holiday, knowing that even though you are not working, additional income is coming through. If you cannot work, it can actually be a lifesaver. Business owners may have income protection policies, but most policies will only pay 75% of normal income. And as business owners near retirement age, they would like to reduce their working hours. However, I have found most can't because they're so used to a certain lifestyle. If you reduce hours, the income is reduced. The idea of passive income is that it allows a business owner to transition from earning income through working hours to having a similar income, even if the hours are significantly reduced. The sooner you get started on your strategy and plan for passive income, the sooner you can reduce the working hours. you work. Finally, step 9, estate planning. This section is in 2 parts. If you are in business and own a business, then at some stage you're going to need to exit that business. And once you have retired, you want to ensure your wealth is not lost to taxes and you are able to transfer it to loved ones and those that you want to give it to. So let's take exit first. A profitable business has value. For example, I have clients who started their business with 0 income and then sold it in 5 years' time for $1 million. As a seller, you want the highest price possible for your business. That means creating an efficient business that makes more money every year and then selling it to get the highest price possible. And that can never be done after you've just made a phone call to your accountant saying you've decided to sell the business. This takes a few years to achieve. A business is always changing and innovating and needs to be efficient. It does not happen overnight, and you will never get to the point where you say you are finished. One must constantly improve. There are many parts to getting your business ready for sale. Ignore them and you will lose money. The only time I have seen a business sold over and above its worth is when a buyer sees something they are interested in your business. They offer money not for the business, but because they are after some kind of intellectual property, which could be staff, systems, or whatever. So your options are: hope a buyer buys you out at a premium, which to be quite honest doesn't happen very often. 2, you work longer and harder with more stress, less profits, and not make your business as efficient as possible because you think it's too hard, and then get less money when you decide to sell. Or you can work with an advisor, consistently improve your business, work fewer hours, have reduced stress, and then receive a premium when you decide to sell. The first option is based on hope, and hope is not a strategy. Option 2 actually feels like less work, but in reality it is more work, longer hours, less profit, and less money when you sell. This will affect the amount of money you have at retirement and the amount you can compound over the years as well. Step 3 is the only one that actually makes sense. Okay, I'm now going to move on to that second part, which is estate planning. And please, please, please do not ignore estate planning. One thing I can guarantee you, you will not, no matter how much you want to, be able to take your wealth with you when you die. There's another thing, your kids or those you love can't wait to get their hands on your money. My youngest son already has eyes on my Aston Martin, asking me if he can start driving it when he gets his learner's permit. And he is only 16 years old. You must enjoy your life, and that does mean treating yourself. Otherwise, what's the point? But there will come a time when you are unable to spend it all. And as the Almighty has decreed nothing as evil as money can go near the happy place, you will have to leave your cash, assets, and wealth behind. So you can give your wealth away to charity, set up a foundation, or pass it on to the next generation, or to those you love. This, in a nutshell, is estate planning. But as you might expect, there is a bit more. Proper estate planning means your wealth goes to those you want, while at the same time paying the least in taxes. So when should you consider estate planning? If you have no documents, live with a loved one, or have children, then the answer is today. The only time you do not need an estate plan is if you are single, have very few assets, little life insurance, and could not give 2 hoots who inherits your smelly shoes or your alcohol collection. And there are not many business owners that I know that fit that category. If you do not have documentation in place, you are leaving significant decisions, such as who will look after your kids, who gets the Ferrari or the handbag collection. If you do not mind a professional stranger, such as the probate courts, who you have never met, making these kinds of decisions for you, then estate planning is not for you. Let your surviving ones deal with the stress and the heartbreak. Let them argue over personal belongings you once cherished when you were alive. In other words, most people need an estate plan. An estate plan is not that hard. All you really need is a few documents. Most people can create a plan in one afternoon. Do this because your loved ones, and in particular your accountant, will be thankful you did. The four main questions you need to ask are: 1. How to plan for incapacity. 2. Who gets your assets on passing. 3. Who will look after your children. And 4. How do we deal with taxes? So, let's take each of those four questions in turn. First one, incapacity planning. Let me ask you a question. If you were to become incapacitated today, what are the chances you would be happy for someone you do not know or care about making decisions about your medical life and all your money matters? What are the chances this person is going to make sound decisions based on your beliefs and your values? Incapacity is a legal term meaning you are incapable of managing your affairs. Incapacity can be instantaneous, such as a coma due to a car accident, or gradual, such as dementia. Once you are incapacitated, you are no longer able to make legal, medical, or financial decisions about your life. This can only be made by someone you have authorized to make a decision for you, such as a spouse or siblings. These are known as power of attorneys, and if you do not have them, it could be that the court will make these decisions for you. There are two types of incapacity planning. One is called medical, and the other one is financial. A medical POA allows someone you have authorized to make medical decisions on your behalf. They will know you well and know your values and beliefs, and you trust them to make those decisions on your behalf. A financial power of attorney allows someone you have authorized to make financial decisions on your behalf. Again, this will be someone you trust. These are incredibly important. 2. The distribution of assets. If you do not formally express your wishes regarding who gets what, the state will make these decisions for you. Without a clear distribution of assets, families will have disagreements even if they get on well with each other. This is likely to happen amongst your children, or if you happen to have a few ex-spouses and children from a previous relationship. It is common for these disagreements to happen when people die. You may believe your kids get along well, and maybe they do, but after you are gone, they may end up on opposite sides of the spectrum. When it comes to an estate, everyone will want to be shown the money. A will is the centerpiece of any estate planning. There are 4 things that need to be considered. Distribution of assets, who will be your executors, who will be guardians of your minor children, when will your children inherit your cash or assets. Distribution of assets is what it says. Who will get what? Who will get what? Executors are people who will act on your behalf when you die. You need to choose who will look after your children if they are minors, and finally, when you want your children to inherit your wealth. If your kids get to 18, will they be responsible? So, I'm ending this rather long podcast about how you can work less, earn more, and create astonishing wealth. If you would like more detailed information about any of these steps, then consider purchasing my book, The Passport to Wealth and Real Financial Freedom for Business Owners. If you'd like more information on how to work less, earn more, and create wealth, and want to do that by contacting me, you can do so by contacting me at Hitesh, that's HITESH, at Wow Advisors, that's WOWADVISORS.com.au, or if you want, you may call the office on 07 3161 9548. Thank you for listening and have a great day.